SFDC then is all about recording what happens on the shop floor, and so who is working at which machine centres, the production orders that they're working on, how long they've spent on each job, the scrap that they've had to post, output that they've posted, and consumption that they've posted as well. So it's trying to have a dedicated portal which is in a big touch-friendly interface that you can use tablets in the warehouse rather than having to have a PC with NAV installed in the corner of the factory. So the precise order in which you select the data that's relevant to you is configurable in NAV. But as an example, I've just opened up the browser, and the first thing it needs to know is which machine centre am I working at. So let's imagine it's line 1. I'll select that and hit next. Next thing is which operator is working on this machine. So I'll choose myself and hit next. And then finally, which production order are you going to be working on, which is sorted by default by the starting date time, but the columns are clickable if you need to change the order for any reason. So let's select one of those and hit next. And that lands you into the main output screen. This is kind of the main screen of the whole portal. This starting example, it's come up after a previous stop code, so we don't have a clean start. On the output screen, down the left you have the navigation pane, which shows any actions that you can perform related to the current screen. So in this case, you can have a look at the components that are required by this production order, which, depending on how you've configured the production BOM, may or may not be linked to your particular machine centre if you're using what NAV calls routing link codes. And the reason they're shown in two separate tables is, again, depending on the config, some components might be posted automatically by NAV, in which case they're shown down the bottom. Other components might be expecting you to post them manually, in which case they're shown in the top, and you can post consumption from here if you need to, and maybe we'll come back to that. The output screen shows you kind of some key information at the top, the machine center that you're working at, the current status of the machine, which is either ready, which means I've got all the information I need to start the job, I just haven't started it yet. It's a planned stop, like we've stopped for a break or we've gone on some training or something. An unplanned stop, for instance, a power cut, or you've broken some tooling on the machine or something. In the case of a stop, the reason code that you selected last time for the stop is shown there, and the time type, which will either be setup time or run time. And depending on your production order, there may be an element of setup time. NAV is expecting you to post 5 minutes to set up the machine ready for the next job or something, and you can record that setup time as opposed to running time. Then in the next panel, general information about the order that you're working on, so the order number, the particular operation number that this machine center is working on, the item number, which may also include a variant code if it's set up in NAV, a description, and the order, quantity, and unit of measure you're expecting to make of that item. So that's telling you the whole order is expecting to make 16 of item 1100, and for this particular operation we've got 16 ready to start. That will either be because the previous operation is finished 16, or this is the first operation in the routing. We've not completed any yet, so there's 16 remaining. And if you're using operators, which is optional, down the bottom you can see which operators have been added, and you can add and remove other operators if you need to. And they have their own timer, so that The device, the machine itself, has a timer, but operators may come and go during the operation of the machine, in which case they will have a separate time posted for them, depending on what they've done. So then you would hit start, and again, this is not a great first example, but this is asking for confirmation of why the machine stopped last time, so we'll come back to that. Under normal circumstances, the machine would just be ready, and you'd have a blue background, and now you've hit start and the status changes to running, green background, and the operator timers start counting. Because the machine is now in a running state, the actions down the left hand side have changed. Components is still available, so you can still, maybe you need to go collect these from around the factory or something, or you can post consumption still while the machine's running. The next thing is you can output. You can say I've completed a quantity of this item, and the output quantity is down here. This is configurable in NAV if you're expecting to output in certain multiples, maybe in 1s or 2s. That box can be pre-filled with the expected multiple, in which case the operator wouldn't have to come down here and change it. They can just hit output, and NAV records, right, you've got 15 ready to start, you've completed 1, there's 15 remaining. But if for some reason you need to override the usual output multiple, you can do that and record a different output quantity instead. You can post scrap, which will open a separate form and say, okay, how many are you scrapping, and also what is the reason that you need to scrap them. And when you click OK on that, you'll notice the quantities don't change down here because you're still expecting to make 16, even though you've scrapped 1. The reality might be that having scrapped 1, we're not going to make 60 anymore, we're going to make 15, in which case you might stop the production order early, but we'll come on to that. So in the normal course of running the machine, you post your output, you post any scrap, and now we've come to stop the machine, and you're prompted to select a reason that you're stopping, and these are set up in NAV along with whether they're planned or unplanned stops. So it might be I'm just going for a coffee break.
So could you easily have more codes if they're required?
Yes. Some of these have special meanings, which we'll come to, like production orders complete or this is the end of the shift. But you can add as many different codes as you require and just tell NAV whether they represent a planned stop or an unplanned stop. So let's say we're going for a break. The machine is now in a status of a planned stop, and the reason is it's a break. So the background changes to orange, and the reason for the kind of bold background colour is that if this is on a tablet mounted on a machine, the foreman walking around the factory can see at a glance that machine's running, this is on a break, or this is down for some reason.
So the blue for ready.
Blue is ready, yeah.
Green for running.
Yeah.
Orange for planned stop.
Yeah.
Red for an unplanned stop.
Yes. Although those colours are configurable, so you could change them around if you wanted to. So now the timers have been reset to 0, and the quantities are as they were. Because the machine is not considered to be running now, we don't have the output and scrap options. Those are only available once the machine is in a started state. It can still go to components, and depending on exactly how your operations work, you can choose when you want to post consumption. So these 4 items are expecting the operator of SFDC, or maybe someone in NAV, depending on how you want to work it, to manually go and post consumption. And you'll select the lines that you want to post, or you can tick the box at the top to select all of them. So for now, let's just choose one of them. You can tap on the quantity to post column and change the default value if you need to. The default is we're expecting to consume 16 tyres, but we might need to change that for some reason. Then once you're happy, only the lines that are ticked will get posted. So I'll go and hit post, and if I go back into components, you'll see the remaining quantity of that line is now 0, quantity to post is 0. I could still go and post more consumption for this line if that was required, but the expected quantity is 0 now. So now we restart the machine, and let's imagine we're going to post another 12. And let's say because we scrapped 1, we're not going to be able to complete the remaining 1 now. So when I hit stop, one of the options that's available is to say we're considering this production order complete. And even though in NAV there is still an expected quantity of 1, that flags the order in NAV to say the SFDC operator is saying this is complete now. It's still possible for someone in NAV to go back in and override that complete flag, but for the purposes of SFDC, that order will not reappear now, even though it has technically a remaining quantity. So having completed the production order, we're returned to the data selection element of the portal. So I'll confirm who's working on the machine now, maybe it's someone different this time, and again be presented with the list of production orders to work on, and back to the start as we were. So that's sort of a run through of the portal end of things. One other thing is this text down here. This is text that you can define in the idea is on each screen, so on the component screen, you can have some kind of instructions for your operators just to explain what this screen is about and what you as a company with your business practices are expecting them to do on that screen. So the output screen has text, the components, the stop codes. There's also an instruction button where you can upload a PDF against the particular operation, and you might have some works instructions that you want the operators to be able to display on the portal.
So once they've chosen a certain production order, there will be an instruction linked to that type of production order?
Yes, so the production order has two main elements to it. That's the BOM, the items you're expecting to consume in order to make, and the routing, which is a description of the operations you need to go through. So against each of those routing lines, you can upload a PDF of instructions for that particular operation, because assembling might have different instructions to quality control or cleaning or whatever it might be. You can flick through the pages of the PDF, or presumably you try and have it in a single page, but you can flick through next and previous in the portal, or you can open documents which, depending on which browser you're using, which will either be Safari on an iPad or more likely Chrome on an Android tablet, will open the PDF in the default behaviour of the browser. So the reason not to just open the PDF directly is twofold. One, because it's not very predictable how the browser will work with it, and also it takes the operator out of SFDC into a different sort of context. And now that I've hit the back button, I've actually lost the production order that I was working on. Yeah, so that's why instructions are rendered a page at a time within the context of SFDC. and when you close, you're returned to the order you were working on. This is the logo from company information, so that'll be replaced with whatever your company's logo is. And I think that's about it, sort of portal side. Okay.